So we've gone through the steps necessary to deploy ADCS as well as some of the components involved with ADCS, and we've discussed how to create certificates based on out-of-the-box certificate templates. And in this sub-lesson, we're going to take a look at managing certificate deployment. And we have two tools for doing so. One is the Certificates Console. Now, the Certificates Console is not the Certification Authority Console that we've already peeked at. This is actually another snap-in you're going to add through an MMC. We can also use a command line utility called certrec.exe. We have 4 different enrollment methods that we can choose from, the first being manual. As it sounds, the user is going to generate a request locally. That request file is going to be sent to the CA for approval. This is often used when a user can't communicate directly with your CA. Auto enrollment's our favorite. Put a little star next to that. That's configured through a group policy. It's our preferred method. It requires an enterprise CA, including the offline standalone root CA with a subordinate CA. That will work just as well. We have web enrollment, where I can request and retrieve certificates from a website, and then on behalf. This is where I can create an enrollment agent, and I'm going to use this agent to request certificates on behalf of that user. However, in order for me to enable enrollment agent, the user account has to have a certificate based on the enrollment agent template, which is yet another certificate template that we have available to us when working with certificates. You need to have the appropriate permissions in order to configure auto enrollment, which means you need to be part of the domain or enterprise admin security group. The certificate template must have auto enroll permissions associated with it. Remember, we saw a lot of the templates are version 1, and version 1 doesn't have the auto enroll permission associated with that. So be careful when choosing your templates for creating your certificates. You can configure GPO settings to enable auto enrollment, which is going to be the easiest way to do this. We can do this through the details pane of the Certificate Services client and through the Certificate Enrollment Policy, which are both in the same GPO node. And now that we've talked about it, let's step back out to our #1 domain controller and take a look at how we configure auto enrollment. So we're back in Server Manager on our #1 domain controller. We're going to Tools. We're hopping back into Group Policy Management Console this time though. And you'll see in here we have our domain. I'm going to expand on our domain, and we're going to go into our group policy objects. We're going to be working with the default domain policy. So we're going to go ahead and right-click and edit that, opening up our GPME. We're going to go to Computer Configuration, Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings. We're almost there. Public Key Policies. And in here, notice we have the Certificate Services Client Auto Enrollment and the Certificate Services Client Certificate Enrollment Policy. Let's work with the auto enrollment first. As always, not configured. We're going to go to Enabled. We're going to check both these options: renew expired certificates, update pending certificates, and remove revoked certificates. Notice everything's being taken care of automatically. Update certificates that use certificate templates. We have that option as well. And then we'd simply click OK on this, and that will configure auto enrollment. We can also go up to the certificate enrollment policy. Again, not configured. We go to enabled. You'll see the Active Directory enrollment policy is automatically enabled. But if we wanted to configure additional enrollment policy servers, we could click add and then enter the enrollment policy server's URI, and then we click validate server, and then we click add. We're not going to do this one either, but I just wanted to show you where these are configured using GPMC. If you haven't figured this out yet, the keys are very, very important. So what we're going to take a look at is what's called key archival and recovery. Now, why would I lose my keys? Well, operating system is reinstalled. We have a hard drive that crashes. Someone steals someone's computer, or it's lost, or maybe even a user desktop profile ends up corrupted or deleted. All of these will prompt a reason for us to be concerned about our keys being compromised. So we have 2 recovery options. Looking at key archival, this must be enabled both on the CA and on the specific certificate templates. To enable it, you'll also have to enable the key recovery agent, which requires you to install a key recovery agent certificate in the context of a user account that you're going to be using as a key recovery agent. And to complete that task, you're going to enable the key recovery agent by modifying templates to apply the key recovery agent. This is done through the certificate template console. You'll locate the key recovery agent template. You'll go to the issuance requirements tab. You're going to clear just one checkbox in there called the CA certificate manager approval checkbox. Then you're going to switch back to the CA console. you're going to right click and you're going to create a new certificate template based on the customization we just made to that key recovery agent template. Certificate revocation, or CRL, this is when I want to indicate that a certificate is no longer valid. This is going to add this certificate information to the CRL. Why would I want to do this instead of letting it expire using the validity date? Well, maybe the certificate's key was compromised, the issuing CA was compromised, the reason the certificate was created is no longer valid, a certificate was superseded, or lastly, the user or computer no longer needs that certificate, so we can revoke that certificate. Let's jump back out to our live domain controller and explore the CRL. Via the server manager in our image, we are going to go back to Tools and Certification Authority. It's going to load that baby up for me. We're going to expand on our certificate options, and here's our revoked certificates. That's empty at this point. We have a certificate that's been issued. So we're going to go into our issued certificate. We're going to right click all tasks, and at the bottom we have the option for a revoke certificate. We have a drop down for the reasons for revoking this, from unspecified all the way down to just putting a hold on the certificate. Here's the superseded option that we talked about, and here's the key or the CA compromisation that we talked about. So we have options within here that we can specify as to why we're putting on a certificate hold. We can specify a date and time for that certificate hold. I'm going to go ahead and make this immediate. Go ahead and click yes. And notice now we have no issued certificates. But if we go back to revoke certificates, here we have it. So now it's listed under our revoked certificates instead of our issued certificates. And the good news is I can reverse this. So I can go back to this certificate that we just revoked. I can right click, go to all tasks, and I can unrevoke that certificate. Guess where it is? It's right back here in issued certificates because it's no longer on the CRL. So that's how we can manage the revocation of certificates in Windows Server 2016 using the Certification Authority console.